What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Trooper Transmission. And today I've got Dan Melnick, and he's here to talk about his experience in Fit Nerd Academy. And Dan, super excited to have you on because you've got a really cool story, and I'm really excited to have you share it for anyone interested.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. So let's bring it on back 4 months ago, early 2023. What was going on in your life, and what was the catalyst to you being like, oh, guy in a clone trooper helmet? Let's see what he's up to.
Yeah, really, I I wasn't like in a bad situation. I was just sort of in this wandering sort of aspect of my life where I go to work, I could go to the gym, but I wasn't really happy where I was standing. I wasn't happy with my consistency and just like a lot of choices that I was making in my life just weren't really put together. Uh, and really it stems back to even before early 2023. And I decided sort of like New Year's resolution time, like, hey, let's start making the active decisions to make my life a little bit better and start finding things that fit into my life that I can actively push myself forward. Uh, and by the time I saw, hey, guy in a clone trooper helmet working out, is I was in a good spot to be able to be like, hey, like let's focus on this fitness aspect and see what this can do. And I saw hey, if like you're interested in this Fit Nerd Academy post, like message me and like we'll see if something works out. And I'm like, you know what? Like, why not? Like, let's just do it. See what happens. Worst case scenario, it just isn't for me. At least give it a shot. So, messaged you and I mean the story started speaking for itself. It was a good fit for me. Learned just even in that first 15-20 minute call, I learned a lot of like the things I need to start to do and how you would be able to help me out on that path and be able to sort of guide me. And that really spoke to me, especially in that sense of like I was a little lost and directionless and just that little push of like, hey, like there's some direction here. Not even some, like there's direction here, and I'm willing to help you find that. But are you? And that was like, yeah, I was right in that moment where it's like this is exactly what I need at the moment, and let's just do it. Let's go in and have at it.
Yeah. That moment and that inflection point always reminds me of Star Wars, believe it or not, where Obi-Wan's like, you should, join me. And Luke wants to, but then he's also nervous. Right. And so that's the point in the hero's journey where it's the call to adventure. Like, start Fit Nerd Academy, join the rebellion. Were there any concerns you had or any voices that you noticed being like, don't do that? Like, keep wandering, stay here with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
There's definitely something like, there's the level of comfort I had probably back, like, right when I started finding like, oh, like I'm comfortable right now, like what I'm doing, like if I keep doing it, like maybe things will change. The actual definition of insanity, though, and it was just the way I was living was like I have it pretty good right now, and things are fine. And I was like, well, like things could be better, but it's like things can also get worse. But you actually have to step outside to figure it out. And it's like, well, if anything, that was sort of just my holdback was I wasn't in a bad spot, so I was comfortable, but it's like I think what pushed me out the door was knowing that I could be in a better spot.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And so you get started first couple of weeks. What were some of those really tactical or maybe even strategic changes that you made where you're like, oh, this makes so much sense. Why haven't I been doing this? Or maybe you were just not consistently.
I mean, there were some things where it's like, okay, like yeah, like I like a lot of the things in the gym, uh like the background that I have through collegiate swimming, was I know like, hey, like I know how to work hard in the gym. I know how to push myself, and I know the difference between like working hard and training to the point of like I'm gonna hurt myself. So there were a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things in that regard where it's like, okay, like I can see like where this workout is coming from. I can see like how hard I need to push myself here and what the purpose is behind it. for me personally, like the thing that helped out the most was the nutrition guides. Like I'm still struggling on it, but like I already know I've made leaps and bounds on just where where I was to where I am now. Even after I did my workout this morning, I sat down and like I had pre-prepped some chili. There's, lean ground beef, a lot of veggie loaded, and a little bit of pasta in there. And like I'm refueled. I'm ready to go for the day now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember one of the first things that was kind of this unlock for you where you were like, can I make stuff in a skillet? I was like, sure. And I feel like you just ran with that. And all of a sudden you're just like the skillet man, which is
Oh yeah,
awesome.
the breakfast skillet is game changer. I feel bad. I was supposed to make one last night, but then I didn't get around to it. But I got all the stuff for it. I got pepper, I got onion, eggs, a little diced ham.
Yeah.
Like it's my go-to now.
Yeah. So it's interesting. As a former collegiate swimmer, that's a little bit of my background as well with sports. And then we have this nerdy side. What do you feel like you were missing, knowing that you've got maybe that background as an athlete, but then you've also got, probably your friends now that maybe you game with or you guys have similar hobbies. How is either having a coach, which is very athletically driven, or a community of other people who are also kind of just nerds trying to get fit? How did that help you?
There was definitely a sense of like, hey, there's a push behind it now. Where the last few years where I've just been working out on my own, there's nothing. There wasn't necessarily anything pushing me to really dive in harder or uh, push the upper limit of where I need to be. But then you're like, hey, we're gonna test, and I think, oh no, I have to test. I have to put up a number, and like that number is a reflection on me. And in swimming, I've got to go do a race. That time is everything. In high school, it's high school swimming. It determines if you can like qualify for meets, and you have college coaches looking at you. And in college, it's like that that's what it is. Money's on the line for scholarship.
Yeah.
It's there's more than just these things of like the arbitrary number that you're chasing. There's goals, there's dreams, there's passion. There's money involved, but then having move on a few years and it's just like, hey, I'm working out so I can have a good life, a good healthy life, get comfortable. It's like, hey, every week if I am picking up 40-pound dumbbells and that's what I'm doing on a dumbbell bench press, it's just 40 pounds every week. At some point you stop really doing anything for yourself and you're just going through the motion. Whereas now it's less of, it's not necessarily that feeling of competition that's driving me, but it's that feeling of I have people behind me who want me to get better. And if I can keep pushing myself to get better, I can then help other people push themselves too and really work on to just being the best version of myself possible.
Yeah. Curious, you mentioned with collegiate athletics, there's a scholarship on the line, and that's kind of the vision or the North Star for you. And you use the language of, feeling lost or kind of just wandering. I'm curious now if you feel like that North Star has developed or changed at all in the last 3 months. Or maybe it hasn't. I'm just curious for you what you've noticed on that front.
So for me personally, that North Star sort of aspect is, I mean, it's not no money involved with me working out anymore. It's not like that's what I'm chasing. So it's definitely me chasing what is just a better version of myself. I know one of the things early on that I was like, I just lacked a self-confidence physically. And, as a guy who used to essentially just wear a Speedo for 3 hours a day, like not having that physical confidence was a little embarrassing almost.
Mm.
Just like, man, like I used to be able to like walk around shirt off and like feel great. Now it's like, well, it's not that I don't like walking around with my shirt off, but it's not necessarily something I go out of my way for and or I just lacked sort of physical confidence in myself. And now I'm working out again. Maybe I don't have, I swim 15 hours a week body anymore, but I'm still proud of the progress I've made, and I'm still happy with where I am, and I'm ecstatic to find out where I'm going to go from here and just
Mm,
see how things keep changing.
yeah, definitely. Because this isn't a short term kind of thing. This is definitely something that I know you're bought in, where it's what can we do in a year? What can I do for 5 years? What can I do for 30 years if I keep going down this? Curious, what would you say your three kind of like keys to success are? Or if anyone watching this is like, man, like how has Daniel kind of unlocked that next level? Like what would you say like those three things are for you? And it's different for everyone. So I'm just curious on your take.
So the first one would be like just listening, just listening to what other people have to say, taking that advice in, and just rolling with it, seeing if it works for you, altering it if it doesn't, or going back to the person who said that, be like, hey, I tried what you said. This is what I found was helpful. This is what I didn't find was helpful, and just and working that back and forth, which sort of leads into that next aspect, which was like sense of community. It's super hard to do anything alone. Uh, and having that group of people, having anybody to help you out, or just even one person in the corner supporting you, it's huge. It's totally different. I know a lot of the stuff I like before I joined Fit Nerd Academy. Uh, I was just on my own, just kind of winging it. So just trying to piece it all together was difficult for me. And now having some of the things laid out for me, having other people with me, uh, and that community is absolutely huge. And that this last one is going to be a little weird, but I don't think I would have gotten this far without it. And it's just instinct, just
Mm,
the whole reason why we're having this conversation is that kind of that moment where I just like screw it, just type in those 3 letters when on that post and just do it. And the lack of thinking, just the lack of any sort of like mental process of just like what could happen, just hey, something here is sticking, something here feels right, let's just go with it. Um, that that's carried me pretty far so far because now it's my instinct is like, hey, like you can lift more. Let's go do it. And in the gym, it's just like, you know what? Like this is going well and fine, but could I be doing more? And I find myself just I stop overthinking things and I just go for it. And it's helped out immensely.
there you go. So three keys to success right there. Thanks for coming on, man, and just kind of sharing your story. And really excited to see where you go. We were watching form videos yesterday, and for anyone, this guy's great shoe game. His high top Converse, all red. Every time I see it, I'm like, this guy wants to stand out in the gym. He wants you to know that he's lifting. So keep it up, man. Proud of you and excited to keep going on this journey with you.